Hey, everybody. Welcome back to High Level Listening. Today's English listening practice is for those of you who are ready to move beyond those simple everyday conversations and start working with more advanced, nuanced, and opinion-based English, especially if you're moving from B1 to B2 and B2 into the C1 level, or if you want to understand more complex conversations between native speakers.
Yes, absolutely. Today's topic is one of those debates that sounds very simple and practical at first, but quickly becomes very emotional and personal. Is it better to rent your home, or should everyone try and buy a place of their own?
I mean, this is something I've been talking about pretty much my entire life, I think. So, this is the perfect kind of advanced topic to help you improve your English listening skills at the B2 level, because it's the kind of conversation where advanced learners can hear and practice agreeing, disagreeing, challenging an idea, and explaining a more layered opinion without sounding rude or overly direct.
So remember, with these B2 discussions, you don't need to understand every single word the first time. Just try and listen for the main ideas, see if you can notice some useful phrases, and then rewind or go back again with the subtitles or the transcript if you want to study more deeply. You can find the PDF transcripts for these higher level conversations in our B2 discussion vocabulary ebook in the description below.
Okay, so renting versus buying is one of those topics that almost everyone has an opinion on or a reaction to because we all need a place to live, right? Someone mentions, oh, my rent has gone up again, or we're thinking about buying. And the conversation becomes much deeper than just having a roof over your head, right? So, what we're really getting into is money, social pressure, timing, security, and whether people feel like they're moving forward in life.
Yeah, owning a house is one of these big life goals, and that's why this topic gets lots of people's attention. It's not just a place to sleep. It affects your routine, your house affects your relationships, your sense of independence, and the way you imagine your future as well. So for some people, buying a home feels like the ultimate sign of stability. But for others, it can feel like a huge financial commitment that could actually limit your freedom for many years.
Right. And renting can be viewed in completely opposite ways as well. One person might see renting as flexible and practical, especially if they don't want to be tied down. And another person might see it as insecure and frustrating because if their rent keeps rising, or they might feel priced out of buying altogether. So, this is a good topic for advanced English because the answers depend on what you value most. Do you value freedom? Do you value security? Do you value control over your finances, mobility, flexibility, or do you prefer a long-term investment?
So let's get into one of our first big statements. How does this sound to you? Renting gives you freedom, buying gives you stability.
Okay, that's an interesting statement. Now, that was definitely true for me for most of my 20s. Renting can be a real advantage if your life is still changing. You might move for work, if your relationship situation is uncertain, or if you simply don't want to commit to one city or a neighborhood just yet. Renting gives you room to adapt, right? It gives you flexibility to move around and change. You're not tied to a mortgage. You're not responsible for major repairs. You don't need to be saving up tens of thousands of dollars to put down on a home. And you can change direction without a mortgage weighing you down.
True. But buying gives people something renting often can't. It's a sense of permanence. There's, I think, a psychological comfort in knowing that this place is yours. This is mine. I can decorate it. I can renovate it. I can start to build a routine in it. I can invest in it. And then I can feel more rooted in my community by meeting my neighbors. And then financially, if the property value increases over time, then owning it can be a way for me to build my wealth rather than simply paying every month for some shelter. So I don't think home ownership is just an old-fashioned expectation. I think for many people, it's actually control, security, and it's a long-term plan.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think either option is automatically better or smarter than the other one. Renting can definitely be sensible, but it can also make people feel vulnerable if rents keep rising, it becomes a larger percentage of your income, or if landlords have too much control over the place that you're living. Owning can also be very empowering, but it can also become financially overwhelming if the mortgage is too high, the rates are too high, the repairs are constant, or the market changes really suddenly. So the real question isn't which one is better, it's which set of pressures are you actually prepared to live with?
Okay, yeah, lots of interesting perspectives there.
Okay, so our next portion here's where I do agree more strongly with the ownership side. And owning a home still feels like real security. So that's kind of where we're headed in our second part of the discussion. Now, of course, I mean, I grew up thinking this was one of the best things you could do for yourself. I understand why people would want that. If you rent, there's always going to be a level of uncertainty. Your landlord might raise the rent, sell the property out from under you, delay repairs, or decide not to renew your lease. Even if you're a very responsible tenant, you don't have complete control over your own living situation. That can create anxiety because your home never feels entirely secure. It never feels 100% yours.
Yeah, I think that's a strong point. There is something quite powerful and empowering knowing that as long as you keep up with your mortgage payments, owning a house means no landlord can suddenly kick you out and tell you to leave. You're not just sort of passing through, you are investing your time, your money, and your emotions into a place that really belongs to you. And I think for a lot of people, that sense of permanence is deeply reassuring, especially in a world where work and prices and relationships are already unstable enough.
Well, yeah, of course. And I think ownership changes how people imagine their future. When you own a home, you're not just paying for this month, you're gradually building equity. You're creating a financial foundation, and you're giving yourself and your family potentially something that may increase in value over time. Now, of course, that's not guaranteed, and property can be risky, but I understand why people see ownership as more of a secure long term path. It gives people the feeling that their money is going somewhere instead of disappearing every month.
Oh, I do agree with that up to a point. But I also think at the same time, sometimes people romanticize ownership a bit. A mortgage isn't just a symbol of success, it is a major financial obligation. And once you own the place, every problem in the house becomes your problem. If the roof leaks, if the boiler breaks, or the plumbing goes wrong, you need to pay for those expensive repairs. You can't just call a landlord and wait for someone else to handle it. So yeah, homeownership can definitely provide security, but it also comes with all the pressures and extra work that people don't always factor in when they talk about buying a home as this dream.
Yeah, for sure. That's fair. Like, I definitely don't want to be dealing with all of these home improvement projects, but I'd still say that the responsibility can be worth it if it gives you more control over your life. Renting can sometimes make people feel like they're living under someone else's rules. You might not be allowed to paint the walls, have a pet, change the kitchen, or even hang pictures without asking for permission. So, owning gives people the ability to shape their environment in a way that reflects who they are. And I don't think that should be reduced to a purely financial decision. It's emotional as well.
So this might be
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
an unpopular opinion, especially if you grew up hearing that buying a home is always the goal. But I don't think buying is automatically the smart financial move. People often say that renting is just throwing money away. But buying can also be incredibly expensive in ways that people don't always talk about. You have the deposit for the house, you have the mortgage that you have to pay each month, kind of like rent, interest on top of that, taxes, insurance if anything goes wrong, maintenance if anything breaks, repairs, legal fees, and the risk of having so much of your money tied up in one asset. And sure, as we said, you might be building equity for later, but you are taking on a huge amount of responsibility and financial exposure.
Okay, well, yes, I 100% agree that it's a big financial burden, but so is renting. Renting can also be financially exhausting. If your rent keeps increasing every year, and you're not building any equity, it can feel like you're working hard just to stay in exactly the same position. At least with ownership, part of your payment may be going towards something long term. With renting, you could pay for years and still have nothing to show for it at the end.
Yeah, I get that. But buying can trap people in ways they don't always anticipate as well. If you buy too early, or if you buy in the wrong location, or with too much financial pressure, you can become tied to a decision and a property that doesn't fit your lifestyle. Maybe you get a better job somewhere else, but now because you own a place, moving or uprooting becomes much more complicated. Maybe your relationship changes, but the property ties you together. Maybe the neighborhood changes, or simply your priorities shift, and then selling is expensive and stressful, while renting gives you the ability to just change direction without that same level of financial friction.
You're right. And honestly, that's why I think the real issue is choice. Renting can be smart if you choose it because it fits your lifestyle, your finances, or your future plans. But renting feels very different if you're doing it because buying is completely out of reach. In the same way, buying can be smart if it gives you stability and you can actually afford it. But buying can be a mistake if you only do it because you feel pressured to prove you're a successful adult.
So everyone loves the Facebook picture where they're dangling the keys in front of their house and say, "So we did a thing."
So we did
That
a
is a goal.
thing.
Yeah. Okay, well, now we'd love to hear from you. How do you feel about buying versus renting? We always get lots of interesting responses and stories from our comments in these B2 discussions. So please let us know. We read and reply to every single comment. So get in touch.
And remember, you don't need to express everything perfectly. The goal is to practice your real opinions in English, to kind of stretch and push your vocabulary and to build confidence to take part in some of these more nuanced conversations. Now, if you'd like to study on your own and at your own pace, you can also download our self-study materials in our B2 level discussion and vocabulary ebook in the link below.
Right, well, thank you so much for listening to this B2 discussion. We'll see you very soon for another episode here on High Level Listening. Bye-bye.